The RTX 3080 has officially landed. Will it leave a giant crater with the crushed souls of 2080 and 2080 Ti's? Or will it fizzle out before even hitting the ground? Let's find out, shall we? My name is Chris, this is Coalition Gaming, and today I'll be your computer technician. Real quick, if you're new around here and are into tech, PC hardware, gaming, stream tips, tutorials, news, and reviews, then you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and that bell so you don't miss a single upload. Also, I stream to Twitch every Friday at 8 p.m. Pacific at twitch.tv/Coalition Gaming Crew. So feel free to stop in, drop a follow, and talk some tech. Alrighty, let's get to the video. This is the RTX 3080 Founders Edition. Special thanks to Nvidia for sending this out, by the way. Thank you guys for supporting the small guy. Anyways, this is probably one of the most unique PCB designs for a single GPU graphics card in a very long time. The same could be said for the cooler. A thing to note about the PCB, this is not the reference design. This time around, Nvidia's Founders Edition and reference PCB are two different things, so just be aware of that. I never would have thought Nvidia would mix a blower cooler with an axial fan design like this. It may not be the first of its kind to do this, but it's definitely the most prominent. I gotta say, it seems like it works well. Under extreme loads in my O11 dynamic case, I did see the GPU get into the 80s Celsius, but putting my fan behind my computer had me feeling a massive amount of hot air being blown out through the rear blower section of the cooler. To keep this heat out of the case, I think is a very good thing. Anyways, let's go over the tech specs real quick before hitting the benchmarks and expressing some thoughts on ray tracing, DLSS, RTX IO, AV1 decode, and some other stuff. So here it is up close, RTX 3080. Supposedly it's supposed to light up right here in this spot, and it's supposed to be like a white LED right here, as well as I think this part's supposed to light up where it says GeForce RTX on here. I don't think it does on the back, but again, this is the back. This is a crazy looking back panel if you think about it. You never see the back of a graphics card with a fan. That's nutty. But I do dig it. This fan is pulling air to go from below and then up through it. So it's very unique design in that situation there, that regard. Up here, different style fan, but this is the one that's going to be blowing out the back. So it's installed into the computer like that. Air is essentially going into it here and then out this way. And so that's like how a blower fan would work. It's got heat pipes that will go from here to this fan, so that for this fan to dissipate that heat. And overall, it is just one solidly built beast of a card. 3 display ports and an HDMI, no virtual link, no USB 3. Or whatever type C connector back here. That's dead now, which is kind of sad. I actually used that port with an RTX card in a different computer. I've also messed around with it using VR. They are spec'd for higher power, which means that you can use longer type C cables with them and stuff like that. They had advantages, but the standard is dead, so no point in putting them on the cards, which costs extra money because it raises their TDP and all sorts of stuff. Here we have the microfin 12 connector, micro 12 pin connector, and well, I guess it is what it is. It's a nice little compact connector, looking more like smaller electronics sort of stuff, but we're gonna do the 2 8-pin to single 12-pin here. You're only gonna get this on the Founders Edition card, so fear not. But if you do get a Founders Edition card, you'll get an adapter. It won't be the prettiest. Hopefully a third party can come out with something that's good, that won't make your stuff catch fire. The RTX 3080 uses Nvidia's new Ampere architecture on Samsung's 8nm process node with 2nd gen ray tracing cores and 3rd gen tensor cores. It has 8,704 CUDA cores, a boost clock of 1710 MHz, base clock of 1440 MHz. Quick note, boost clock will be affected by GPU boost and likely operate at higher speeds than advertised, which is nice. VRAM, 10 gigabytes of GDDR6X at 19 gigabits per second with a 320-bit memory bus for a total memory bandwidth of 760 gigabytes a second. 3 DisplayPort 1.4a ports and 1 HDMI 2.1 port on the Founders Edition. The HDMI 2.1 port is the first on any GPU and special because it allows single cable 8K output to TVs, but also high refresh rate 4K over HDMI, which is awesome for a living room gaming HTPC setup for sure. For this video, we'll be comparing the RTX 3080 to the GPU it is replacing in the product stack, the RTX 2080 Super. Quick specs on the 2080 Super include 3072 CUDA cores, a difference greater than half of what the 3080 has, boost clock of 1815 MHz, base clock of 1650 MHz, 8 GB of GDDR6 non-X VRAM at 15.5 gigabits per second, and a 256-bit memory bus width resulting in 496 gigabytes a second of bandwidth. Alright, let's hit those benchmarks. Test system has a Ryzen 9 3900X with PBO, XFR, and all that auto overclocking stuff turned on, 32 gigs of DDR4 3600 as well. Motherboard is a Gigabyte Aorus X570 Elite, so PCIe 4.0 is in use here. Alright, here they are. Hold on. Did you see that graphics score for the RTX 3080 in Firestrike? 40K? That's insane. For the most part, this graphics card is seriously impressive. The small increase in FPS in Call of Duty Warzone was kind of disappointing, but as I kept testing it in that game, it became clear that this card is craving a heavier load like 1440p or even 4K to really stretch its legs, though that depends on the game still. 1440p saw a 41% performance increase. That's awesome, but what's crazier is that it's definitely not the highest percentage performance increase that I saw. For example, Apex Legends at 1080p had the RTX 3080 46% faster. That trend more or less continued throughout the testing, with varying results from 20% faster to 40+% faster depending on the game and resolution. But holy crap, did the RTX 3080 impress in Doom Eternal, coming in at 79% faster than the 2080 Super. Wow. So yeah, this is seriously a monstrous graphics card with performance like nothing we've ever seen at this tier or price point. I'm not done yet though. A major improvement with this card comes from additional and improved ray tracing and tensor cores. So let's dip into another chart, this time looking at ray tracing and DLSS performance in Control. Regarding the performance uplift here, I really have one word to say: dude. First, DLSS really helped bring up the ray tracing FPS performance like crazy, and what was awesome is it came at almost no noticeable negative visual impact to quality. Performance like this, at what looks like little to no visual cost, feels like it could be the future, especially when it comes to high resolution, high refresh rate gaming. Anyways, back to the numbers. What caught my eye the most here is how playable the RTX 3080 had the game running in comparison to the 2080 Super. The 2080 Super was no slouch though, except when it came to 4K with ray tracing set to high and DLSS turned off. Basically all GPU power. No DLSS cheating. It averaged 5.2 frames per second. Now, when I repeated this test with the RTX 3080, I was blown away to see 36.4 FPS in this same exact scenario. Doesn't sound like a lot at face value, but that is a 600% performance improvement. Just think about that for a second. This thing is seriously better equipped to handle ray tracing tasks compared to the last generation. Real quick, I'm going to be doing a temperature and power draw test. So here I have Unigine Valley running at, well, 1440p, and it's been running for about 10 minutes or so. So you can look up here, we have a GPU temp of about 82C, and basically, yeah, we're just loading up the GPU here, 83C, Yeah, so looks like it's hitting about the low mid 80s with repeated loops of just rasterized heavy workload like Valley. Could probably go a little higher if you start throwing in stuff that uses the Tensor cores and the RT cores. Anyways, here we are with my kilowatt and 556 watts right now. About 560 is the highest that I saw so far, and that's about where it seems to go. Now this is a 750 watt power supply, Ryzen 9 3900X 563. Whoa. So we have 6 fans, everything RGB'd out, water pump, 2 SSDs, and a hard drive. This is sort of representative of what a sort of mid to high end system would pack. And we just saw a little bit over 560 watts of total system power draw. Now, let's say 560, yeah, we'll go with 560 right now. I'm gonna turn off Unigine Valley and we're gonna see where the computer settles out, and then we can subtract in order to get a rough estimate of the GPU power draw there. So you guys saw it looping and we only got 560-ish, so let's get to turning off Unigine Valley. Okay, Unigine Valley is shutting off. GPU usage is still at 70%, and we are at the desktop now. You can hear the GPU winding down probably. And where are we going to settle out here? We're going to settle out at 230. This is just chilling at the desktop right now. Not 221, 222. Okay, 221 was sort of the lowest idle that we saw. Again, not doing anything. So we're going to take 560, 220, minus 220. 340 watts is about the difference of 219. Okay, 341 watts. So 340 to 350, that the 350 watt TDP that they advertise for this card seems to be about spot on. So that's pretty nice. That is a number that you can probably be okay with as a rough estimate. All right, it's not a guarantee still, because that stuff is designed to be somewhat flexible. But 340 to 350 is what I'm seeing of usage right now in just a rasterized graphics test like Valley. We haven't thrown anything like ray tracing and DLSS at it that will stress a different part of the graphics card. But if to load up a game that will do that, we'll probably start seeing CPU usage get thrown into the mix, and it can throw the numbers right off. So we're going to go with 340 to 350 as a rough, safe estimate for that. 340 to 350 is what we ended up with. Right on. With all the performance out of the way, I do have some thoughts on the additional features. Since I cover a lot of streaming content on this channel, I wanted to talk a little bit about the new AV1 decode capability of the 3000 series. AV1 is an open source, high efficiency video codec, and what this means is using it can give better video quality at lower bit rates, or better video quality for the same bit rates you're already using. Nvidia says they are working with Twitch to enable AV1 on their servers for watching streams. It's great that Nvidia is helping to prep Twitch to run AV1, but unless you're someone that does a lot of media streaming and Plex sort of stuff, like not necessarily involved with Twitch, this won't do much for streamers. Yet. Twitch can only receive an H.264 stream. That's the encoding that it must receive in order for you to transmit to them. But if Nvidia helps to fully prep them in this next generation after this or after that, Nvidia will add an AV1 encode feature to their GPUs, and that's when the game will really change, especially for streamers. What this means is that a future NVENC iteration would be able to encode AV1 to send to Twitch, and your streams will look a ton better at the same bit rates. You won't need a ton of bitrate to make 1080p 60 look good, for example. So all this AV1 stuff definitely has me excited, but excited for the future. Continuing the stream related stuff, RTX Broadcast is finally here. I'll likely make a dedicated video checking it out, but long story short, it integrates background replacement and removal, face tracking, and RTX voice into one program, making it a pretty useful tool for streamers. Moving on, something else that sounds like it'll be interesting is RTX IO. To sum up with this, RTX IO will bypass the CPU when it comes to transferring and decompressing data from SSD into GPU VRAM. Reducing CPU overhead is actually really good for performance. Anything you can do to do that will help your performance. This is supposed to integrate with Microsoft's new Direct Storage API, which brings dynamic loading of game data from drive to VRAM into parity with what the newly announced consoles started saying they would do as well. This makes me want to get a PCIe 4.0 SSD to put everything on, but they're still pretty expensive. I do have my doubts though, because as far as I was aware, if you have enough system RAM and don't exceed your VRAM limits in your games, then this feature sounds like it won't get used for normal gaming situations. I guess time will tell. I'll have to keep my eye on it. That was a lot of information to take. I got one bit of info left for you guys though, and that's the card is supposed to retail for $699. Partner cards will probably vary wildly in price in comparison, but I'll leave a link down in the description below for you guys to check this out further. Which 3000 series card are you guys looking to get? Drop a comment down below, let's talk about it. The 3070 for $500 is definite head turner if it holds up to the claim that it can beat a 2080 Ti. Not having GDDR6X is a turnoff for me, because if you're buying new and you're buying high-end new, then you want the newest cutting edge tech, right? But maybe they'll save the GDDR6X for a Ti or super variant of the 3070. We'll see. What I really want to see is where an RTX 3060 lands, considering it might cost $350 to $400 max, but probably outperform an RTX 2080, maybe. Exciting times ahead, everybody. If you like this video, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and follow on all our socials. Everything linked down in the description below. Special thanks to Nvidia once more for sending this out for review, but of course, all opinions on this are my own. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye. Also, we have a lot of related videos over here. Check them out, check them all out. You know, it's all good. Lots of cool stuff, lots of content. Come on, pick one. You picked one yet? No? Yes? Yes? Oh, okay. Okay, bye.